Doom: The Dark Ages. So, just rolled credits, and let's talk about it. So, I'm a pretty big Doom fan. Also, the gameplay you're seeing is the first time I ever picked up the game. This is like the first level. I walked forward like a foot, and that's where this gameplay is. There's gonna be no spoilers on the visual front, and I'll talk about some story stuff at the end, but I'll give a disclaimer and stuff like that. I know the story for Doom is essentially meaningless, but it's I do have things I want to say about it. But yeah, Doom: The Dark Ages was a game I wasn't like crazy excited for. When I saw the initial trailer and stuff, I thought it looked really cool, but I think leading up to launch, it sort of just snuck up on me. Like I think it was like the beginning of May. I was like, oh shit, like Doom, new Doom game comes out. And I'm a huge fan of Doom 2016. It's like one of my favorite games of all time. And I had a decent time with Doom Eternal. I think that's probably one of my hotter video game takes, is I like 2016 more than Doom Eternal, but that's for another video. I do also want to say I'm going to be comparing the three a lot, just because I think it's like I think these are all amazing games. Like they're all like 8 out of 10 or higher games. So like sitting here and critiquing it on its own merits is really important, but I think comparing it to the overall trilogy, I guess if you want to call it that, I think is also what a lot of people are doing. Like a lot of people love Doom Eternal. Like that is some of the people's favorite FPS games of all time. So of course people are gonna naturally compare it to that. So I'm gonna be doing that as well. And I want to just start off with the things I just wasn't grooving with, because there is a couple things, and I think as I played the game, I stopped caring. But for the first couple hours, they really stuck out to me. And I think the first one that I don't know if you guys can see this on the gameplay just because of like YouTube compression and stuff like that, but that is the forced film grain on PS5. So I assume this is on Xbox as well. I know on PC you can turn off, whatever video settings you want. Mine is RTX, but I'm not playing on PC. But I have heard that they have forced RTX for some reason, which is really, really odd. But it's a shame for me because Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal are amazing looking games, and they run so well. Like they're very optimized, at least on all the machines I have tried them on, and which are a couple graphics cards and different consoles, stuff like that, and they've pretty much just all ran great for me. So seeing this game come out and then and having weird things like forced RTX and forced film grain, at least on consoles, is really disappointing because this game is really pretty. Like this is by far the best looking Doom game, which is to be expected. Being the newest one on new consoles and all that type of stuff. But the image a lot of the time is blurry and grainy because of this weird film grain that at least on console, they force you to turn on. I checked, I looked it up, I checked all the settings. There was no way that at least I could find to turn this off. And it's really noticeable in the first mission and a lot of other levels where you're going through darker areas and you can really just straight up see the graininess. Like there are times when I sort of forgot it was there when I was zoning out, getting more into the groove of things, and the game does run, beautifully smooth. So it's not like it was hindering performance or anything, but it is one of those things that at least I had issue with. I've only seen one other person outside of like Reddit discussions and stuff like that of people asking like if they can turn off or something like that. I've only seen one person talk about this, so I don't think it's a big issue for really anybody else. Maybe I'm just being a little too, neurotic about little things like this. It is something that maybe I shouldn't focus on too much, but it is really weird. Like this is you'd think that Doom would be a gameplay first, or should be a gameplay first series, and it's these decisions go sort of against that, in my opinion. And I think that's the main complaint I have. I think the second one is the level format. So essentially how it works is you load up the game, you click on the campaign mode, you select the first mission, and then you beat the first mission, and you select the second mission, you beat the second mission, you select the third mission. And when I'm saying that, and you maybe not have playing it, are thinking, well, that makes sense. Like every other, like Doom Eternal and Doom 2016 are also mission based, but in Doom Eternal and Doom 2016, they naturally just lead you into the next mission. In this game, it takes you out every single time, and you have to select and go back into the mission. And it felt very disconnected a little bit, and it alongside there being no multiplayer whatsoever. Did make me question the $70 I paid. Despite me, once again, saying in the beginning that this is a phenomenal game. I don't. Maybe that's just a me thing. Again, this is not something I've heard anybody else say, and I have listened to the people talk about this game. Like I've been trying to see, like, okay, like what do other people think about this game? I've seen no one else say this, so again, maybe this is just a me thing, but it'd be nice if it sort of just naturally led into the next mission. And I think that's compounded by the fact that a lot of these levels sort of feel like collectathons, you know, like all the little health pickups and armor pickups and item pickups almost feel like they should be in an arena like Quake style game. And it makes a lot of these more open maps feel less curated and put together and, you know, pretty, if you want to say that, as we saw in 2016 and Eternal. And I think, again, that may just be a me thing. That is to say, though, I did really enjoy the maps and exploring. I think this is probably the most fun I've had in a Doom game when it comes to exploring. In 2016 and Eternal, I essentially just, you know, did all the mission stuff. I found secrets if I happened to come across them. That's just sort of how I like to play those games, you know, sort of almost speedrunning it in a way. But this game, I actually found myself frequently opening the maps and checking stuff out. And I bring up the, you know, weapon pickups and stuff sort of feeling weird alongside talking about the multiplayer, because what is going on with this, man? Like, Doom 2016 had this, you know, granted, I actually did kind of play a decent amount, you know, this weird, like, Call of Duty ripoff style multiplayer, and then Doom Eternal just had, I'm sorry, maybe people like it, but the multiplayer in Doom Eternal, like the 2v1 type thing, was just so lame to me. And I think I played it one time. Like it just felt like a waste of a game mode. And maybe I'm being a little too harsh there, but I just really didn't care for it. And that is all to say, if Bethesda, Activision, id, whoever, you know, id Tech or id Software, if they're gonna abandon Quake, can they at least just put like a couple arena maps and stuff like that into Doom? And I'm not asking for a whole live service thing. I'm saying give me like 5 maps where I can just run around, find weapons across the map, you know, try to top score in like a free-for-all. That's all I want. Maybe add some skins and stuff, some progression, like just like a very simple like 1 to 1,000 level base system or 1 to infinity, however much you want to do it. That's kind of all I'm looking for here. And I don't think that I would even be thinking about this if the game wasn't $70. And I know pricing nowadays is a lot of people are like, oh, shut up, who cares? And a lot of people are sort of like, yeah, whatever, that's just how it is nowadays. And I think that's sort of where I'm at, where I'm like, yeah, you know, whatever. It's just how things are. As much as I hate it, you know, I don't have any power to sway these decisions. But if I'm paying $70 for a AAA game, as great as the single player is here, I sort of do at least feel like there's just something in the back of my head, like there should be more here, right? And the campaign itself took me about 14 hours to beat, which is, I think, the length I would have wanted. Maybe, oh my god, maybe even a little shorter. I would have preferred that. But I think this is also just based on the fact that I think Doom multiplayer for me has felt awful for a while. Like it just has never felt good. And why we can't just have some simple, like even probably, okay, I don't care. Give us the Call of Duty clone, like team-based, like team deathmatch style stuff. Like if anything, just like give me something to mess around with for a couple hours. And it's sort of sad that there is nothing here. And I think the last thing is the music. That's something I've seen a lot of people talk about. And I'm not like this huge Mick Gordon guy. I love 2016's soundtrack, but Doom Eternal, I've never done like a complete listen, or like, you know, I've never listened through all of the soundtrack. So maybe I need to do that and sort of refresh my memory a little bit. But Doom 2016 or Doom Eternal's soundtrack, while amazing, also didn't really stick with me. But at least with this, right? Or hold on, let me. People are gonna get mad. There are literally songs I can think of right now from Doom Eternal, right? So like maybe I'm not having any of them in my playlist. It still is an amazing soundtrack, right? And there are definitely times when I have had to, or when I've wanted to Google songs in the soundtrack, right? And that's a really good thing. That is a sign of that this is a good soundtrack. So I was more so just saying I didn't love it as much as 2016. But with this game, there's like nothing. straight up. Like, it is just the most generic, boring guitar riffs ever. And that's really upsetting to me because I think, like, even if they don't bring back Mick Gordon to do the soundtrack, I feel like it's this is the most backseat like developer, or I guess in this case musician thing I could have ever said. But like, it shouldn't be that hard, right? Like, I don't know. Like, you couldn't get like a band to come in and do it or something. Like, it's just there was like no songs here other than maybe the main menu song, and that's only because I just happened to be idle on the main menu for a little bit, you know. So that was really disappointing because I think for a lot of people, I think me less so than other people, so it's not the biggest whatever in the world. And none of the tracks were bad, but I think it is sad that none of it really stuck with me because I think a lot of people associate Doom with that sort of heavy metal, almost like dubstep sort of style, like, or not dubstep, I don't know what you call it. If you listen to 2016, there's sort of a lot of like, it's metal, but there's also like a lot of electronic like bass and sort of stuff like that. Like, that's what people associate with Doom. And to see that absent from an otherwise really great game that like flows beautifully and everything like that was really upsetting. But that's pretty much all like the negatives I can, like, those are like the only like caveats I would say. Like, there are probably other things I can nitpick, like certain enemies that are maybe kind of annoying or levels that were, you know, dragged on for too long or whatever. But those are like the main things that I think genuinely disappointed me, but don't, you know, take away from, I think, the overall experience for the most part. And I want to talk about some good things going on with it because there are a lot. Like, I by the end of this game was really having a good time. Like, I think halfway through the game I was sort of like, yeah, you know, whatever. Like, yeah, it's Doom, it's fine, it's good. But I think by the end of it I was actually like not in love or anything, but I was like, damn, you know, like, this is a good ass game. Like, I would recommend this to people on sale or something like that. And I think I want to start off with sort of like a mixed negative slash positive, and that's the mech and like flying dragon, whatever you want to call it, stages. I've seen a lot of people say that they're really simple and they sort of just feel like a waste. And while I agree that there's like really not a whole lot going on here, at least with the mech stages sort of being this big spectacle, I thought it was a nice change of pace. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what they could have really done to flesh out these levels. So sort of just having these quick sort of power trip bursts of mech stages in between the usual Doom gameplay, I didn't mind. I thought it was a nice change of pace. And I think the same thing goes for the dragon stages, which are sort of intertwined with normal stages. You sort of use it to traverse these larger areas, and I think that's cool. You know, it again is a sort of a change of pace and shows the scale of some of these levels compared to the more corridor style levels that we saw in Doom Eternal and Doom 2016. So while a lot of people criticize these for not being super complex, I personally didn't mind. I think my favorite thing about this game is probably just the aesthetic. You know, the level themes, the enemy designs are my favorite, I think, out of the trilogy. I don't know what other people's opinions are in that, but like I don't know any of the demons' names, but they all look so cool here and so detailed and like gritty and gory. Like, I loved it, dude. So I was not disappointed there at all. I think the aesthetic overall sort of made up for something like the music being maybe a little lackluster. You know, going back to Doom Eternal and seeing that game almost be like cartoony in a way is a little disappointing. Doom Eternal, I never really, I think, grooved with the aesthetic very much. Like, I didn't like how there was almost this forced blurriness on everything. Like, I liked, I think, 2016's much more like super saturated colors and deep blacks and oranges and like super grittiness. Like, I really liked that over Doom Eternal's aesthetic. And that's not to say Doom Eternal's ugly. Like, Doom Eternal's beautiful, especially on like Ultra. Like, I played it the other day on Ultra, like on my PC. It looked amazing. But this game, I think, out of the three, has my favorite aesthetic by far. Like, it is just so pretty looking, despite the film grain sort of making maybe some of the images not look as good as they could be. Like, I imagine I do want to get this game on PC at some point. But like, you know, despite all that, it still does look really cool. I actually really liked the shield and the parries. I think at first it was maybe a little weird. I was like, I don't know how much I'm going to use this, you know, because a lot of people were describing Doom Guy as more of like a tank in this game. But I liked running around and sort of just eating all these hits and you know, parrying and getting up in enemies' faces and really feel like I'm learning how the enemies are behaving. I think in Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, it is sort of, you can play the whole game almost treating it like a battle of attrition, just dashing all over the place, shooting them until they die. But in this game, it does sort of feel like, all right, let me learn the attack patterns of these enemies. Like, let me try and parry and disperse these crowds as quickly as possible. But I do mention the dashes, in something like Doom Eternal. I really wish was still in this game. And I don't know why we couldn't have had both. It's very weird to me. And especially playing on controller, there are definitely times when like strafing and shooting or trying to move out of the way of projectiles was really awkward. And if I could have just dashed left or right, I think it would have made the game just flow a lot better and feel a lot smoother to play. I don't know why we couldn't have had both there, so that was a little weird. But overall, I really liked the, the shield and stuff. I hope that is, I don't know what they're going to do next, but I hope that sort of almost like melee combat style thing that they introduced here does stay, because I would really like that. Alongside of that, the flow of parrying and stuff like that, I think is also helped by like the charge move you can do. You can just like bash into enemies from a pretty far distance too, and you can see me here, like I'm sprinting and I'm traversing these levels very quickly. I think a lot of people described this game up to release as like slower, but I'm gonna be honest, there are a lot of times when this game is faster than Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, so they're just wrong. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like, you are literally faster, and you do feel faster, at least to me. So, like, yes, well, you don't have dodges and stuff like that. Well, I would have loved that. To say this game is slow, which I don't think anyone's saying it's, like, slow. I think a lot of people are just maybe were overplaying how much slower they thought it felt. Regardless, I think is wrong. This game is still plenty fast. You're not really seeing that in this gameplay. Like I said, this was my first, like, 10 minutes or 20 minutes with the game. But by the end of it, I was just blazing through. Like, I really was getting into... you see me just do like the shield bash thing right there. But you really do, I really did just feel like so comfortable by the end of it. And this game did not disappoint me in the speed department. I think sort of the last couple of things I wanted to talk about was the story, which are spoilers. So if you don't want to hear any of that, you can click off now. Overall, I really liked this game. I think it's probably worth it if it goes on sale for like half off or something like that. These games usually go on sale. Like, I think I bought Doom Eternal a year after it came out for like $15. So if you don't want to spend $70, definitely pick it up, a year or two from now. I think it's definitely worth it. But I do want to sort of talk about story and spoilers for a second. This game has more story than I think any Doom game. I guess Doom 3 maybe has more story. But at least when talking about Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, this game by far has the most story. Like pretty decently long cutscenes and characters. And I don't know how other people feel about this, but I really liked it. Like, I did feel myself feeling more connected to the world. I think an issue I've had with Doom as a series, from Doom 1, 2, 3, 2016 Eternal, the world never felt like real to me. Like, I could never imagine what normal people looked like, even though we do see them, here or there, like on the UAC bases and the moon or whatever in Doom Eternal in 2016. It just never really felt like this was a living world. It sort of just felt like it was a playground for Doom Guy to just destroy demons or whatever. And while that is amazing for gameplay and definitely what they should focus on, there definitely are times where I'm like, I don't believe that this is like a living, breathing world. And while I still, this is like, I think, dude, the story is kind of confusing. Is it in the past, or is it like a different dimension or like a different planet? I don't know. I'm not really entirely sure how this connects. That's like something I need to watch a video on or something like that. But, well, I'm not entirely still sure about the whole universe and the world. I do like how this felt like a world. It felt like there are characters I should care about. Like, there's this guy with the mohawk that looks super sick. There's, of course, someone just starts mowing. Whatever, I'm almost done anyway. Jesus Christ. But like King Novak was really cool. Because there are times in Doom Eternal and even 2016 where you're seeing these, flashbacks or holograms or even coming across these old characters. And it sort of is just like, okay, like I get why these people are here. I know who they are, but I don't really care. They're sort of just here for some sort of structure. But in this, it did make me kind of care about them. And I think finally, I really liked how Doomguy is handled. They weirdly made him more human, and I actually really liked that. So he does speak. He says one word, and I can't lie, I did soy jack a little bit. Where he says run. I was like, oh, I point at the screen and shit. I did a little like Wojak face. They are really going crazy with that out there. That is right outside. I don't even know if you can hear that. I imagine you can. It's like blasting through my headphones. But yeah, I really like that. There's like a cutscene at the end where Doomguy gets stabbed, and you sort of see him limping, and he like looks at his scars and stuff like that. I liked that. It made me more attached to Doomguy, and it does make me now go back to Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal and care more about him as a character. Because I think Doomguy is sort of like this godlike mythical character, and I think while that is definitely an appeal, I never really even thought about the more human aspect of him that I think this game had made me appreciate a little bit, and I really like that. I think that's it. I really like this game. I think it definitely gets better like halfway through. Oh, dude, the 2016 reference where you die and he's like rip and tear, and you fucking wake up as like zombie Doom. Dude, that shit, that made me so hyped, bro. That was so sick. But yeah, overall, this was amazing. Like the big Cthulhu squid guys was great. I don't know what they're gonna do next. I assume I don't know if they're gonna do like another reboot or if they're just gonna make a fourth game. I'm not really sure, but again, this game was great, and I was pleasantly surprised.